Welcome to Kardec Radio. While you wait for our program to begin, check our new site. It's Kardec Flix, where Spiritism is just a click away. Also, check our publisher, Kardec Publisher, and its first 6 books. Each one is a journey to inner empowerment and love. Kardec Radio, where we nourish ourselves daily.
Welcome, dear friends, to Kardec Radio in another program. What is Spiritism? This book, the book that Kardec wrote a few years after publishing the first Spiritist book, which is the Spirit's Book. And when he published the book, What Spiritism, he had in mind, as he says in the very book, to summarize it, what it is, to tell us about its importance, and to show to us how to talk about Spiritism with people who have no idea what it is. Yes, Kardec was far ahead and still is. Yes, we can say that Kardec is way ahead of humankind. We have to catch up with him. We have to run. It's like the marathon of Spiritism, and that's why we're doing our own marathon here, which is What Spiritism. We have been together since June in this program, bringing people from all over the world, friends who have dedicated their lives studying Spiritism and are dedicated in disseminating its teachings. It's charity to share the teachings of Spiritism. And that's what we do. We share. That's all we do. We're not the owners of the teachings. We have zero copyright over the ideas. We're not the inventors of Spiritism. We are just students sharing what we've got to know, because the world deserves an opportunity to live better. And today, talking about living better, we are going to talk about solution to life's problems in the view of Spiritism. Yes, in the last part of the book, What Spiritism, Kardec addresses 4 major life's problems in great depth. And today, we're going to have a team of friends who are here with us to talk about it and share it with you. It changes our lives. Our problems don't go away, but the courage to face them stands stronger than ever. As Jesus said once, and reported in the book Jesus in the Home, the forgotten gift for all of us is courage. And Spiritism certainly boosts our courage. Courage to live and to do the good. And to talk about it, let us welcome our friends who are here today. I'm going to bring them all together this time, okay? It's Laura Chrysostomo from the Spiritist Society of Bridgeport, Marcelo Cabral from the Spiritist Society of Bridgeport, and Correa from the Spiritist Society of Virginia, and Kardec Radio as one of its hosts. Thank you, friends, for joining us at this hour. I know it's late. It's an opportunity for us to see you and hear from you. How are you, Laura?
I am doing wonderful, and I'm so happy to be here sharing with you the little bit that we studied about this wonderful book. So thank you for inviting me.
Yes, thank you. Sis also is here. She sees you guys from Bridgeport and she's joining us here. Marcelo, how have you been?
I have been really well. Thank you very much, Vanessa, Carol, and Laura. Thank you for the invitation to be part of this team to reflect on Kardec's teachings. It's amazing.
Yes. It is amazing. Yes. Right, Carol. I know you're also
Right.
excited about it too.
Absolutely. Kardec is such a visionary that he doesn't fail to inspire us time and again.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have our friends here, John the Rose. You saw, John, the ad we did with your cloned voice? Yes, that's his voice. Daisy is here, Sol Souza, and we have other friends from Instagram as well, Dani G, Rita, Ana Luisa, Galina Joe. Feel free, friends, to participate, ask your questions, make your comments. This is a live program for you. So, friends, talking about our enthusiasm, um, I always think Spiritism is free. Anyone can grab a hold of it and study it, practice it. But the most important thing is how we apply in our own lives, right?
Very good.
As we begin this study today, Kardec, in this last part of the book, What Spiritism, addresses questions such as the many worlds that exist, and the fact that they may be inhabited, right? So, what did come to your minds, when you saw the questions and answers? In my mind, I was more focused, just to kickstart, when he said God could not have created those billions of globes simply for the pleasure of our own eyes. Laura.
I know, and I was thinking that I know Kardec is the best educator, and he knows really well how to compile every everything that he studied. But I was thinking this chapter should be the beginning of the book, because if someone that's not like really into reading a lot, this is all we need to show. Like, if you have a teenager that questions everything like I do, and I ran to his room many times as I was reading and studying this last chapter to say, remember that question, the conversation we had yesterday? Because he asked me, Mom, why bad people uh, do good? No, why bad things happen to good people and why good things happen to bad? And when I read, there is this question right here. So it was like, this is really the solution to a few problems that humankind. Um, so yes, I thought about, when we were, 40 years ago, studying in elementary school, and we were told that Earth was the only planet. And when I read this, it's like, how did we believe that? Right? How did we believe that? And Kardec just put it so beautiful. God wasn't just going to, create the universe for us to look at it. And even there are billions and billions of galaxies that we don't even see it, and we know they are there, which makes total sense.
Yes, so interesting. Did you go to elementary school 20 years ago? I did, and it was like more than 40 years ago to
40,
me.
I said 40. I was like, okay, hold on, let me do the math.
No, you look very young, Laura, so you can make a case there. But you are right. You are right when we're talking about the people nowadays. So what happens that it doesn't cross people's mind? And when they talk about inhabitants, like my daughter's reading a book about UFOs from the
UFOs, yeah.
school, and she's like, Mom, the reports say that they are tall, that they are thin, that they have big bulging eyes, and they are green. I said, Virginia, let's think. If any of those guys come to Earth, they are smarter than us, they are prettier than us. right? Yeah, according to what we know in Spiritism, they can't be that ugly. Okay, so okay, Kardec addresses that here as well, right, Marcelo? He
It
addresses
does.
that. How do they look like?
It's comparable to the Kardec mission is comparable to us right now, and also the form itself is comparable to the world that they live in. So on Earth, we have the physical body, this type of matter, but doesn't mean that it will be the same for a different planet. So the body
Yeah,
itself will be conformed with the
mm,
the atmosphere, of that particular planet.
yes. And Carol.
When I was reading this question and answer by Kardec, it reported my mind back to the video interview that Kardec made, the video that Kardec Radio published, and that Kardec made on the Spiritus magazine of 1858, where Kardec interviewed Mozart as a spirit who had an internship in Jupiter.
Mm-hmm.
And Mozart describes to Kardec and all of us what life is like in a more evolved planet. And just like Marcelo was saying, his spiritual body is much more subtle, very different from the Earth's, according to his own report. And Mozart says that a reincarnation in Jupiter lasts 300 to 500 years, and that they strive to reincarnate time and again there because they know that they can progress faster. And Mozart even tells Kardec and all of us that even the plants praise God and the animals praise God, and everyone feels interconnected. So it's beautiful to see the triangulation of the Spiritist science, where different reports by different illuminated spirits complement one another, showing to us that we don't just have to believe because we have actual evidence that proves that this is a reality. And then, if we want to go even further in the Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 3, St. Augustine writes a beautiful dissertation under the Spiritist teachings in that chapter, where he describes the scale, the progressive scales of different planets. So it's beautiful how it all comes together, where logic and faith complement one another.
Exactly. And just as a teaser, since Carol mentioned it, let me show you. Next week, we'll go deeply into this. But today, as a teaser, let's just quickly check the very video about Mozart and Kardec.
Based on the article Familiar Conversations from the Beyond, Spiritist Magazine, 1858. 1858, Paris, France. Some time ago, there were communications with the spirit Mozart, and they were registered. It is interesting to note that Mozart answers match those of other spirits. From these comparisons, we can make our own conclusions. What is melody?
For you, most of the time, it is a memory from the past. Your spirit recalls what you saw in a better world. In the planet in which I reside, melody can be found everywhere, in the sound of the water, in the click of the leaves, in the songs of the winds. The flowers whisper and sing. Everything makes the sounds melodic.
Jupiter, the biggest planet in the solar system.
Good people reside here. They conquered this planet because of their virtues. They chose to sing to God. Religious music helps our spirits to elevate themselves so that we can grow all the more. How much I would like to show this world to you. Here we are so happy. In this way, I could inspire you. Nature is so admirable, so beautiful. This
Yes, I know we would love
It
to go
is
on and on.
amazing.
Amazing, huh? We had the help of
Amazing.
friends and Luis Rivas, of course, but you can read either you go to Kardec Radio YouTube channel and go there, Mozart and Kardec, or issue 16 of the Spiritist magazine has the whole translation of that conversation that Carol mentioned between Kardec and Mozart. Plus, we know many accounts of several mediums, including the Brazilian medium Chico Xavier, when his mother, discarnated mother, came in one of her books talking about other planets like Mars and Venus and telling us about these other planets, which makes so much sense. And as I said to Virginia, if you're afraid of aliens, think of Jesus. He was not from the earth. That's a sure thing.
Yeah.
He's not from the earth. He is an alien, but we spiritists don't say foreigners or aliens. We just say spirits, right? Living in God's universe. Talking about spirits, friends, in the next topic of how Spiritism addresses the issues of life, Kardec is going to address the, the the point about the existence of the soul, which is one of the fundamental points in Spiritism, that the soul exists. And he starts that conversation with a question: where's the seat of the soul? And he goes on and on. In that whole section, what caught your attention, friends, the most? I know this section is very extensive, so we can discuss a little further. But what was the first thing that caught your eyes, Laura?
I am looking at my notes,
Yeah.
and the question that caught my attention, and it's so relevant nowadays. Question 109: is the soul created at the same time as the body or before? So relevant nowadays,
Yeah.
right? Um, we will leave the answer for the next presenters, but this question is, you know, every teenager should study this question, and right. So the answer is, and he says this question is one of the most crucial because its solution leads to the most important consequences. And this book was written when, Vanessa? In
1859.
1859.
Can you
You
believe it?
said that in 1859, and
Yeah.
we're in 2024, and it's still a
Current.
question, current
Yeah.
question, a crucial
Yeah.
question.
As
Now,
we see in science, is still at the frontier of the our studies, right, Laura? And why did you say this is so current? Because the discussions go by in terms of pregnancy, in
abortion, exactly.
abortion.
Because he explains that at conception, the spirit is connected to the little tiny, tiny body that's starting to form. And this changes the whole game of,
Mhm.
you know, all the arguments that are used to say, oh, when the baby or the fetus is X weeks, or right. So this changed the whole concept. At the moment of conception, there is a spirit designated to that body that is starting to form, which means there is someone in the spirit world ready to reincarnate and hoping to reincarnate, and probably being waiting to reincarnate for God knows how many years and how much time, and how much planning was involved for that reincarnation to happen, um, which Chico Xavier explains, Emmanuel explains so well, André Luiz explains so well in the book Missionary of Life. All the process of preparing the parents, preparing the spirit, and everything for the reincarnation to happen. So this question is, and this knowledge that Spiritism brings to us is so important,
Yeah, so vital, as Laura
so
is saying
vital.
herself. It's so important. It changes our decisions. As we said to the parents at our center this past weekend, yes, it's very important that our children go to schools, but that knowledge is not going to define, it's not going to help them make the decisions that are related to our most crucial moments, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why we need this knowledge,
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
right, Marcelo? You want to mention anything regards to
Yeah, yeah. It's a couple of things here, but let's start it with the topic that we're talking about the immortality of the soul.
yeah.
Because on a day to day, sometimes or most of the time, we made a decision based on only here. If the life is gonna finish right here, when you open our mind that we are we're immortal, we're gonna live forever right now,
Mm-hmm.
and the action that I do today will have you know a consequence in the future. So when we start to make a decision based on immortal spirits, make a decision based on the nature laws, because that comes to Kardec, start to explain the justing life. Why someone, gets some trials? Why gets all the different trials? It always to evolve. It's opportunity to evolve. But right now, the
Mm-hmm.
decision, for instance, that we're making right now to have this conversation, to share a little bit about what we learned or how we can apply in our life, and right after here, what we're going to do for tomorrow, because now we're in control of our life. And it's not going to finish when our body, physical body, dies. It will continue, and it will continue. The quality of life that we're going to have, it depends on the situation that we make it right now, the decision that we make. So, and to me, to feel, to understand the mortality of the soul, it's extremely important. And how the laws, the nature laws, the moral laws. Interesting, Vanessa, you mentioned about go to school.
Mm-hmm.
When we go to school, we study physics. We
Mm-hmm.
study, even gravity. We're always talking about gravity. It's very easy, so we can calculate it. You can understand the nature law. It's a God's law, but
Mm-hmm.
it's material. It's a physical one. And our goal now is to understand the moral laws. How does it work?
Yeah.
That's what we're doing here right now. And that's what Kardec put this together. The spirits, talent, and that's the beauty that brings so much
Yeah.
real joy, real happiness in our life.
And talking about this, right, Laura, Marcelo, Carol,
Mhm.
we have been telling how important it is, especially for the new generation, the newest generation born since 2013, the Alpha generation. We still don't know what to make of this generation. We don't know what to expect, but it's the generation that is the least religious,
Mhm.
the least spiritualized. More and more, we see children having zero exposure to religion, to the point that you hear in schools them saying, I hate God, I don't like religion, they don't want to learn about it. And when we hear about the fact that our evolution happens in two wings, as Emmanuel says in the book, The Consoler, question 204, he says, healings and wisdom, and he says in terrestrial words, the moral and the intellect, as Marcelo said, the intellect doesn't suffice, he says. Right, Carol?
Right, Vanessa. We cannot make sense of life without God,
Mhm.
because God is the one that organizes life for us. God is our number one point of reference. Without God, we are nothing.
Mm-mm.
Literally, because we only exist since God wished us lovingly into existence. We don't exist simply because we are connected to a physical body. This is temporary. We exist because God lovingly wished us to exist. And out of love, God designed an educational plan for this planet in the form of God's laws, and God provided us in this planet with an incomparable model, Master Jesus. And Kardec says in this chapter that we all read that the only way to find imperturbable happiness, this is in the last question addressed in this chapter, is if we seek happiness in God's laws.
Mhm.
So, this is why this generation, we dare to say that this is why this generation is quote unquote, seemingly lost, because in reality no one is lost, but
Mhm,
seemingly temporarily confused, let's say. It's
mhm,
because they need to be reminded that God is their north, and
mhm.
that God lovingly awaits for them to, and for all of us, to live in accordance to this loving plan. As we rebel against the plan, we generate or create unhappiness for ourselves. So we are responsible for this temporary state of confusion. And we adults are also responsible for awakening the spirits to the reality that we are learning about together.
Exactly. And in this section about the soul, we want to bring there are so many highlights. We have a program 2 weeks away about this specifically, but today we want to highlight from question and answer 112 onwards. Kardec asks, did God create all souls morally and intellectually equal? Now, this is so important. Before we go, it's about equality, inequality. And why is this center stage? We will not progress if we don't find ourselves with common grounds with people. When Jesus, the guiding model, came to the earth, The major difference between him and everybody else is that he made us feel equal to him, to one another, to levels that people really freaked out and they were like, no, we're not equal. We're more. Are you crazy? We're not like the poor. We're not like the sick. We're not like the ugly, the unprivileged. No, we're the powerful, the beautiful, the wealthy, and the this, that, and the other. And that's why they tried to finish with him. And they just made him stronger in the message. And Kardec brings to us, if God had created some souls more perfect than others, such favoritism would not be compatible with God's justice. So when people say, Jesus is the Son of God, okay, it's a figure of speech to say that he represents the divine laws for sure. But of course, he is beyond our understanding.
Mhm.
But he said, we are light. He said we can do what he did and much more. Why? Was he playing a game or using figure of speech? No. So the quest to find our equality will change our relationships at home, at work. When we look at people and we don't look down on them, but look at them just like us. They have the same dreams, very similar dreams. Everybody wants to be seen. Everybody wants to be approved of. Everybody wants to feel that they belong. But the question for all of us, when we apply these teachings, are we fostering that in our relationships? Are we? Right? When we hear that part, it's something that changes the way we feel about everyone in our lives. Right, Marcelo?
Yes, it's interesting as we are talking. Also, I'm looking myself in my own experience. And before, you know, studying about Spiritism, I admit I had a different way to look at people, you know, and more like for those that or have more means or power, has more attraction, to be more close to trying to learn from them. Until I started to study Spiritism, it changed. And the point is to remember going to a place that I work that has several people there, and then I start to look at them different and feeling different, and open my own door to learn from everyone. And I start to observe about being humble, to be able to go through a difficult times with serenity from those that I had a distance before, and start to change my way, start to change how I feel, how I talk to each other. And the interesting things, it brought me happiness
Hmm.
because there's no more disputing who is the best, who is no, who is does this, but no. And also when you start talking about type of reincarnation that comes sometimes in the difficult times, but to teach others that sometimes not even capable to go through those trials. And going through those trials that we develop their virtues. No, my goodness. So those people that are going through such a difficult times, they're teaching us. If they know how to go through those challenges without complaining, Vanessa, it changed my view.
I
It
bet it
changed.
did.
It changed.
And I have to say this, Marcelo, Laura, And Carol, coming from a Spiritist family, it changes the way our parents raise us.
It
So we were raised in such a way that we were always encouraged to, one, not, I'm going to say something that is quite strong,
Mm-hmm.
but it's true, not to compete.
Mm-hmm.
My father, my mother, my grandparents, they always said, if somebody wants your bone, let them have it. Step aside. You don't need to compete in that way, only with yourself. And I'm trying to find a picture here, and so I'm going to show to you that recently somebody showed to me. Ah, right here. I just found it. It's a picture. I don't have it. I don't know if I'll be able to show it, but my grandparents, they were constantly sharing with us, saying, you see all those kids who are poor or different races in Brazil. When we were there, they are your brothers and sisters. Go and mingle with them. So here I have a picture of, okay, let me see if the pencil maybe or a pen. Here's my grandmother, my great mother. Okay, yeah, my
Yeah.
great grand. Oh gosh.
Oops. No.
Okay, I want to show it. The picture is so interesting.
Mm.
Okay, and here I am on this
Oh,
side, probably about 10. And next to me, to my right, one of my closest friends, whenever I went to my grandmother's house, she used to be the housekeeper with her mom to my great grandmother. And they made sure that we were friends.
Very good.
And I think that's what Marcelo is saying.
Yeah,
It makes us behave completely different in ways that people don't understand.
I don't understand.
Even the spiritists, they don't. They're like,
No.
you're not going to compete. You're not. No, no, no. I don't
Mm-mm.
need that. That's not why I'm here. I'm not going to waste my time. There is no reason. And we're not going to make anybody less. On the contrary, we
Mm-mm.
don't see only the physical, right, Laura?
Yeah.
yes, and I'm thinking how the how our kids get educated in this world to be the number one, to be the number one in the class, to get the scholarship. You have to be the number one to
Mm-hmm.
get, to be the one that makes more money, to be the next Michael Jordan. It's always about like, um, and when spiritism brings reincarnation, reincarnation changes everything, because I can be number one today for the material, right? Materialistically speaking, in my next life, I can be on the opposite. So there makes no sense for me to look down to someone that is, you know, not doing well according to the standards of the materialistic, um, standards, because we don't know, right? We don't know our future. We don't know where we came from. When we speak about, like racial differences, like how, skin colors or all, abilities in general, it makes no sense anymore. We
Mm-hmm.
are all living an experience where we need to, in my life at this, um, the life I have today is what I need to acquire certain virtues or to repair some damages created by myself in the past. This is what is good for me. For Carol, that's what's good for Carol. So there is no need to always be like, it's so tiring. Like, it's so tiring to always try to be what is not your purpose,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's tiring. It's exhausting to be always like fighting against the current. Life wants you to just live, the simple life. That's all you need. So I think Spiritism is amazing because it brings peace. So this is it.
Yes.
Just
And
right.
you can sustain it, right, Laura? When you do that, you
Can't.
may do it for a few years, but you can sustain it for decades because it's
And
exhausting.
yeah, if you are watching our conversation, the four of us or anyone who is watching, someone who has tried so hard, and there is always something that happens, and that person, you know, goes back where they were. There's always something, like I have friends that have done so much, and then something happens, and it's almost like, no, this is the invitation. Just stay where you are. Don't go that direction. And then, but
Yeah.
we are very, very stubborn, and we think we know better, right? Better than God, better than.
Yes. Keep it simple, faithful to your daily duties, right,
Wow.
Carol? Right?
Right, Vanessa, absolutely. Absolutely. The plan of God is a plan of love for us that is very simple. God is asking all of us to love one another and to do to others what we would like to receive. This is the ultimate
Very
equalizer
good. Excellent.
because we learn that everything we do brings consequences. So, right at this moment, at the present time, we are all incarnates and discarnates building our future. So, a question that we ask ourselves and the children at the Spiritus Society of Virginia when we work with them is what kind of consequences what would we like to face, because we are building that reality for ourselves right now. So if we do what Master Jesus exemplified and Francis of Assisi summarized in his own way, if we choose to love more than to be loved, if we choose to give more than to receive, if we choose to forgive more than to be forgiven, then we will be building a beautiful life in the present, because in loving we automatically receive love, and in the future as well. So it is truly up to us, and the path is very simple.
Mm-hmm.
If we look at one another as Master Jesus shows us, as children of God, if we try to find the divine in other people, the light in other people, then light will come to us. There is a book that Kardec publisher released recently, right, Vanessa, named I Am a Flashlight. And this is the result of one of the classes that were taught at the Spiritus Society of Virginia, where the spirit Chris Woney brought a beautiful poem to the children and to all of us, reminding that wherever we go, we can allow our light to shine. And when we make the decision to allow our light to shine, others are illuminated and thus encouraged, reminded that they are light as well. So then we create a cascade effect, a domino effect of love. And we gave to the children at the Spiritus Society of Virginia little tiny flashlights so they could physically and literally shed light onto one another. And it was so beautiful how they brought this to heart. And now the book is available to all of us. And it's beautiful for us to be constantly reminded that all of us are light, but we need to choose to act upon it. And
Okay.
Spiritism is here to help us, right?
Thank you, Carol. So since you said it, I rescued now. Wasn't prepared, but I got it. It's just less than 2 minutes, so let's watch it. Let's watch it because it's so beautiful.
Walking in the streets, reaching my destination. At school, my things to do. In high school, cool. College, all the way to go. Graduation, diploma, new move, new job, new pain. God. Prayer. Oh, I am not alone. Raising my eyes to the sky, a flashlight over me. Divine angels flashlighting my path. Now your turn, they said. Look around. Many people following me. At each step, someone new. Going to the right, they went to the right. Going to the left, they went to the left. Now, you are a flashlight. You've always been, but never noticed it. I then became a conscious flashlight of the good. How about you? Aren't you one too?
See? Yes, we are flashlights. Daisy's here. She helped us also in this, yes, unforgettable lesson. Yes.
Nossa, soy.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, Cardiac Radio is playing non-stop. So here we have Sol Souza. Yes, we're gonna let it shine. She wants to sing it again and again. Yes. So we don't have much time, but the last two topics of this last part of the book, What Spiritism is about, us in the planet, incarnated, and then after death. As Laura said before, in this part, it's like so current. Kardec talks about the very fact that we are here for several reasons. Talks about parenting, and I'm going to give you a teaser. He talks about bad parenting. Unfortunately, it's the highlight for me because nowadays I see so many things happening, and there is this one single topic that Kardec brings to us when he says, why are there bad parents and bad children? It's a wonderful thing. There are spirits who are brought together as a family, not out of affinity, but as a trial, and often as a punishment for what they were in a previous existence. One parent is given a bad child because he himself or she himself was perhaps a bad child, in order to undergo the reaction of the action the child is given a bad parent because he or she was a bad parent. Who have thought of it, right? Isn't
Mm-hmm.
that what we tell our children sometimes? Hey, what?
Look at the love cause effect.
We've heard that. We say that, right? Your turn's gonna come, right? And
No,
we,
the word that I love the most is when they say, "I didn't ask to be born." You know, like when, right? It's like when they're mad, and I'm like, "No, you did. You're bad." And guess what? Mom and dad are the perfect parents for you. Like it or not. And Kardec says it all.
yeah,
Very
very,
nice. Yeah.
yeah. The other day a principal said to me, we were talking about parenting nowadays. I'm not blaming Virginia because she's a good kid, but I'm saying overall, he said these are the most challenging times to be a parent.
Mm-hmm. It
And we
is.
can't agree more, right, Marcel? No
No,
more.
very. We have two girls here and very loved kids, but requires time, requires effort, requires to be engaged, requires to be study, you know, spiritism, connect with God constantly. Because the values that we bring its house, unfortunately, is very different what you have out there in the society.
Okay. Hmm.
What the society, it's no, that's acceptable. Yeah, you can do this. Yeah, no, it's law of freedom. Yeah, but law of freedom also is connect with the law of responsibility. You're going to be responsible for your action, which is related to the law of cause and effect is going to come back to you. So use your discernment. This word discernment here at house, it constantly, not only for us, no, but also for the kids. Discern the good and the bad, because what seed they're going to put it today will come back. So it's good to know which actions that are aligned with the nature law, which are not. So
Mm,
going back to reinforce the good uh, uh, um, the good decisions, those that requires work, that requires thoughts, but those that are going to bring happiness. And
mm,
outside there, and sometimes we feel like that we are the only one. I shouldn't say only one, but we are
mm,
the minority to really
mm.
trying to embrace you know the truth.
Yes. And that's the hardest part
Yeah.
because we may raise them as best as we can, but they're going to mingle with the world, and the world is another story.
Yeah.
For
Yeah. And Simone and I were talking about it. We
yeah.
love our kids, but at the same time, we don't have control. You know that we don't have control. But our conscience feels free when we did our best. You know, it took time, and I admire Simone a lot. Simone spends a lot of time with the kids to be, connected, to really show effort, love, in the good times and the bad times. But we can say we did our best. We don't have a control, but we can see some little um, that we can see, and there's action that touches our heart that you see is there because they are responding not with words, but respond with some attitudes that has shown that the seed is there and it's coming fruition.
Yes. Oof.
I
Yeah,
know.
and Carol,
Yes.
you've been helping at Cardiac Radio for more than 7 years. Cardiac
Yeah.
Radio for Kids. If people go there, Cardiac Flicks, Cardiac Radio, playlists, after playlists, hundreds of programs on
Right.
on ways to help educate children and teens, right?
Absolutely, yes. Kardec Radio has a wealth of materials. Because of the pandemic, we also have video classes for children, including the 13 Virtues by Benjamin Franklin. And what, as an educator who has 25 years of experience and going, thank God, um, I know, we know, not I know, we know that what can hold our children strong and ourselves strong is a moral compass. And thankfully, Spiritism can provide that. And so the Benjamin Franklin series is there in a very loving, fun, and educational way to show to children that is worth it to be virtuous and why, right? The happy consequences of being virtuous. And we also have many stories that are reachable to them, that were developed, brought to us mediumistically, oftentimes, that are tailored to the needs of this generation. So thank God we are faced with challenging times, but at the same time, we are provided with many resources that are available completely free of charge, because in Spiritism we learn that what is given to us freely also needs to be given away freely, because the work is not ours, the work comes from on high, and it's always presided ultimately by Master Jesus. So we cannot separate Spiritism and Spiritist education for children and youth from Master Jesus. Therefore, we always tell the children and the teens in the video classes and presentially that Master Jesus is our ultimate model. And in the Benjamin Franklin series that are presented in video form, we always presented Master Jesus first, and then Benjamin Franklin as his friend.
Oh, so
It was
cute.
adorable to see the two of them talking on the screen, right?
I've seen
And
it.
and Benjamin Franklin would always ask Master Jesus a question, and then the children would come on board and say, "Really? That's how we practice patience? Wow, teach us more." So we, the adults, were learning too and having as much fun with Benjamin Franklin as the children.
Always,
Yeah.
always, always. And of course, we're wrapping up the program, unfortunately, friends, for today. And don't worry about it. We'll keep discussing this, but we'll finalize with a round from our friends who are here, Laura, Carol, Marcelo, on their final comments about how Spiritism can bring a solution, a wonderful solution to all of our lives' problems. Right, Laura?
Yes. Sharing a personal experience. It's been about like 15 years that I've become like a practicing spiritist, studying for 15 years. And well, one, I love studying, I love reading, but there was one thing that the spiritists helped me to achieve is this sensation of peace. One, understanding all, this book is a small book, understanding and really like reflecting on all those teachings that Kardec brought to us from the evolved spirits that coordinated like this message to come to earth. it makes so much sense and it brings so much peace to just deal with the the difficulties and the trials and all the problems that is typical of the planet Earth. We are all living the same problems. So Spiritism is the solution.
Yes. Thank you, Laura.
Thank
Marcelo,
you.
thank you. Thank you, Marcelo.
I think it's what really developed inside of me is to love or to get to know learning the nature laws. Maybe transfer knowledge that I had in my professional or at school. But when you start to read and understand the nature law, it became even more like I want to feel it. And develop inside of me, it's almost a lab that if I do this, how do I feel? Hmm, that has a connection with what Jesus said. We're trying to give some experiments that I do and how do I feel? How does it feel built inside of me?
Mhm.
And that becomes my passion to discover, to feel the nature laws, to understand Jesus' teachings, not to memorize, but there is something behind what he said that aligns to help us to make a decision in life and building this lab to connect with love. And we can feel it when you connect to love, the sensation of the body. So we align. So the experience that we have right now, this talk, we feel it. And we love to spend time with this feeling. It brings
Yeah,
pleasure.
pleasure.
And that's what Spiritism brought it to me. This the feeling of doing the right things.
Yes. Love is in the air.
It is. It is. It's,
Thank you, Marcelo.
thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Carol.
To me, there are three life changing realizations that Spiritism has brought that really literally has changed our lives forever. Number one is Master Jesus, because through Spiritism, he came out of the cross and he started walking along our side and even caressing our heads and bringing us close to Him,
Mhm.
sharing His life with us. And we see this in Humberto de Campos' narratives, particularly in the book Good News. We can even see Master Jesus as a child in one of the chapters and as a preteen in another chapter, and see the respect, the love that he cherished from early on. It's life changing because he's no longer far, far, far away in a galaxy beyond what the eyes can see. He is right here with us day in and day out. Spiritism has allowed him to become a very approachable, loving, down to earth, with all the respect, master. And then the other principle that changed our lives is the principle of the pre existence of the soul, and the fact that what we live today is the consequence of yesterday, and what will happen to us tomorrow is a consequence of today. So, this is so empowering to the point where we can rip off and throw away the victim card.
Very good.
And we are also capable of making true changes. And the third principle is that we are all destined equally to reach this everlasting happiness. there is everlasting happiness in loving others. This is the key that only Spiritism brings to us, and with so much evidence that is undeniable.
Very nice.
Oh, happy day.
I
Today is
think
my birthday.
we can expand
Yay.
this program.
Right.
We can do
This week.
midnight to talk.
Let's bring more friends and keep
Yeah.
doing forever.
Yes.
There you go.
Share
Just
this
like
love.
that. Right. And John the Rose is saying, in the parlance of today, Spiritism is the algorithm for how to live a good
Yep.
and loving life.
That's
Oh
it.
my gosh. Thank
Very
you,
good,
John.
John.
Very poetic. And Sol Souza, thank you, Sol, for being here with us as well. Thank you, Daisy. Thank you, so many friends who are also on Instagram. And we want to thank Laura, Marcelo, Carol for your time, for sharing your love for life, your dedication to sharing these teachings of Spiritism. And we are so thankful to you and hope to see you sometime soon again at Kardec Radio. All right?
Thank you very much for
Thank
the
you so
Thank
invitation
much.
you,
to
friends.
having us.
Thank
Thank
you, Vanessa,
you.
for
Thank
having us.
you. And for those who are watching us, well, come back next week because there's more. More. Now we're going to dive deeper into this many planets. What is it? String theory and more. I'm joking. So thank you, friends. See you next time, next week in another What Spiritism at Kardec Radio.
Welcome to Kardec Radio. While you wait for our program to begin, check our new site. It's Kardec Flix, where Spiritism is just a click away. Also, check our publisher, Kardec Publisher, and its first 6 books. Each one is a journey to inner empowerment and love. Kardec Radio, where we nourish ourselves daily.